What's up, everyone? It's Dark Kitty here, and today I will be reading another Crash Bandicoot fanfiction that I wrote called Cursed. And believe me, guys, it's not called Cursed for nothing. You'll see what I mean by that later. Anyways, this fanfiction is based after the last and also first Crash Bandicoot fanfiction that I wrote called The Joys of Being Evil. Please listen and enjoy, and on to Chapter 1. It had been a whole year since Team Cortex met Beatrix. They all missed her ever so much. They had not seen her in a year, so it felt like a long time to most of them. Natalie was sitting in the kitchen talking to Rusty Walrus, Cortex Castle's cook. He would watch Natalie every now and then when her parents or most of the others were busy. Her parents were gone with the rest of Team Cortex. Rusty chose to stay to keep an eye on the castle. Natalie didn't want to go because Rusty did not go. She was fond of him, too. "What would you like to eat, Natalie?" Rusty asked. "You can cook me anything, Rusty," said Natalie. "I always like your cooking." "Tell you what, how about I surprise you? Go in the living room while I'll prepare something for you." Natalie had always liked Rusty. He had always been her babysitter, so he was fond of her as well. She was a good kid, or at least Rusty thought so. He had been watching her his whole life, so he was a bit overprotective of her. He protected her with all the strength he had. Natalie sat in the living room and started reading while waiting patiently for her food. She was reading one of her father's favorite books called The Time Machine. It was one of her favorite books, too. She had read it so many times, but she still liked reading it for some reason. Just like her father, she was obsessed with time, so that could have been the reason. Natalie put a book on the coffee table when she saw her food coming. Rusty had always been a good cook, and the smell was just as good. Natalie could not wait to take her first bite. "Thank you, Rusty," she said, taking a bite. This is delicious." "Why, thank you, Natalie," said Rusty. "I've always been a good cook. Heck, I'm still good at it." He headed back towards the kitchen to fix himself something to eat. "I wish Beatrix was here," Natalie said to herself. "She may be against us Earthlings, but she's my cousin. I still like her, even if she is the Emperor's daughter." Rusty came back with his own plate of food. Natalie was already done eating hers, so Rusty took the plate back to the kitchen to wash it later. He then ate his own plate of food. "This place is so quiet with the others gone," Natalie said. "Where did they say they were going again?" "I'm not entirely sure," Rusty said. "All they said is that they might be gone for a few weeks, so we get the castle all to ourselves until then." "Yeah, I still cannot believe I'm 16 already. It feels like just yesterday we met Beatrix. Gosh, how I miss her." "Well, time does fly by fast. To tell the truth, I kind of miss her too. She was a good kid, even if she did almost kill a bunch of villains." "What I don't get is why Beatrix will try to kill villains if she's one as well. Is it because she's the Emperor's daughter and whatnot?" "Could be. Anyway, let me finish my food and we'll have some fun. How does that sound?" Natalie cheered at that. Rusty finished his food and put his plate in the kitchen. He came back to the living room and sat beside Natalie. "So what do you have planned, Rusty?" asked Natalie. "It's a surprise," Rusty said. "All I'm saying is that it involves going away from the castle." "Really? How far away?" "You'll see, Natalie. Now, shall we get going?" "Oh boy, I cannot wait to see what we'll be doing. Let's go, Rusty." Natalie pulled on one of Rusty's arms, pulling him outside. She always did have a lot of energy, especially when she was about to do something fun. That was what Rusty liked about Natalie, her energy. He didn't have as much energy because he was much older, in his 40s to be exact, but he still had some energy left. "What now, Rusty?" asked Natalie. "We are going to Rumpa Island," said Rusty. "But who's going to watch the castle? Besides, Cortex said not to leave it." "I know what he said, but it's kind of boring being stuck in there without the others, don't you think?" Natalie shook her head in agreement. "Then let's go." They headed for Rumpa Island when they saw an orange marsupial in the distance, a bandicoot to be exact. He was a little shorter than Rusty, but he was the same height as Natalie. She approached him when Rusty stopped her. "Don't go near him," he said. "Why not?" asked Natalie. "It doesn't look like he's hurting anything." "That is Crash Bandicoot, one of Cortex's fraud creations. He's not a villain, so I would stay away from away from him if I were you. I don't feel like battling him again. How come no one has told me about him before? Don't ask me. Cortex knows. He didn't want to tell you for unknown reasons. He usually never tells me anything he keeps a secret, except for this, of course. Anyway, how about we go a different direction just to avoid this marsupial? Instead of going forward, they went to the right. Natalie didn't know what was in that direction, but Rusty did. He knew the island like the back of his hand. He also knew there were some dangers on the island, so they had to be careful. We have to be careful, Natalie, he warned. This island may look safe, but it really isn't. Do I come here if you think I'll get hurt? Natalie asked. I never said I thought you would get hurt. But yes, I am worried you might, so stay by my side no matter what you see. I know you for a very curious yet stubborn girl. Hey, what do you mean by that? You just don't listen sometimes. You're just too curious for your own good, kid. Just follow me, and be careful. Natalie watched her steps, as did Rusty. Neither of them knew what they were getting themselves into. Danger, danger, and more danger, Rusty thought. Natalie thought it as a way to have an adventure for once. She also hated being stuck at the castle, but she hated going to the Academy of Evil even more. 10th grade had not started yet. It wouldn't start for another 2 months. Natalie saw something shiny in the distance, and like the curious girl she was, she approached it, but she was cautious about it. Natalie, don't, Rusty said. Who knows what that is? It's okay, Rusty, said Natalie. I'll be fine. Natalie touched the shiny object, and it turned into a purple crystal. Just as she was about to put it in her pants pocket, the same Bandicoot they saw earlier snatched it from her hands. Dang it, she said. Stupid Bandicoot. She turned to face Rusty. Didn't Cortex say you needed some purple crystals for something? Yeah, Rusty said. He needed them for a new experiment he's been working on. The thing is, that Bandicoot keeps on snatching them. Then how about we try to take them back? I know you said not to go near that Bandicoot, but Cortex really needs those crystals. He'll be happy once he sees that we've collected them. Rusty scratched his chin, deep in thought. You know, he said, that is a good idea. Let's do it. Natalie and Rusty started to search for the crystals. Natalie didn't exactly know how many times there were, but Rusty did. He could find him in no time, with the help of Natalie, that is. Okay, guys, that was the end of Chapter 1. I hope you all are enjoying so far as much as I enjoyed writing it. I still can't believe I finally decided to read this Crash Bandicoot fanfiction. By the way, guys, I am not done with it yet. I haven't actually worked on it in like a couple weeks or so, yeah. Anyways, hope you are all enjoying this fanfiction so far, and please like and subscribe.